On my walk today, I had one goal: to document as many birds as possible. Predictably enough, the first one we encounter is the mallard duck. I like mallards. They may even be my favourite birds. Unfortunately, these lot seem to be swimming around in a film of oil, which is being washed down from the roads by the rain. What are we to expect, though? That people stop driving for the sake of some ducks? Next, we have the mute swan, a mighty stalwart of the waterways. Fortunately, this one isn't very perturbed by the weather. He's also got lots of friends, which is good. A more understated bird is the coot, which, despite appearing to be somewhat like a duck, isn't very closely related. The same is said for its more colourful cousin the moorhen, though we didn't spot any of those today. Next is a very fascinating species, the fire extinguisher. Why is there a fire extinguisher floating downstream? I don't know. And it turns out there were actually two of them. Bizarre. Now we come to the species we've all been waiting for. The pigeon. Though I think enough has already been said of these, so I'll move on. Further down the canal, we come to the West Bridge. Look at how cleanly the bridge cuts off the wall of rainwater. Someone should invent a word for this. Maybe rain line. Though perhaps that's a bit too obvious. Under the Newark Bridge, it looks more like a finish line. Here, we see the home of the most invidious invasive species, Homo sapiens studentus. Though, going by this evidence, at least they've had a good night. As you'll be able to tell by the added greenery, we're about to enter nature, and soon we begin to leave the city behind. This is where we'll find our next bird, the Canada goose. This species has a reputation for fighting, but thankfully my encounters today were rather more peaceful. These birds aren't native to the UK, so they should fit in quite well with the rest of Leicester's population. Upon entering the Ayleston Nature Reserve, I was half worrying we weren't going to see anything else of interest, until a moored narrowboat loomed out of the horizon, and, as I turned the corner, I came across this. The mother of all gaggles. I was worried about disturbing the geese, but it didn't take very long before they slipped away and got going. It is funny how quickly they get into formation as they're swimming along, with the parents at each end of the convoy and the babies in the middle. The fact that there are 4 adults and so many goslings makes me think that this is 2 families that have combined their strength, with maybe the more senior couple taking the lead and the rear 2 escorting. Before long, however, I had to leave the geese behind, at which point I reached this stretch of grass, which I call the Warren. There was no rabbit activity there today. However, I had seen plenty previously, including this black pair. You can also spot a grey heron here on occasion, but he wasn't here today either. Scared off by the rain, perhaps. I then decided to continue on past the Ayleston Lock, which is not somewhere I usually go. Quickly coming to regret this decision, I decided to go into the woods to cut across to some more familiar territory. This turned out to be a bad idea, as I became pretty much lost in the woods within a few minutes. As I realized this, I couldn't help feel slightly anxious. Yes, my rational mind was telling me, you can go back the way you came. You're no more than a 20-minute walk from civilization, and you should just keep following the path. Yet, there is an innate, atavistic feeling from thousands of years ago inside each of us that goes, I'm lost in the woods, and this is scary. And I think I felt it that day. Before long, though, I realized that I knew where I was, and the familiar Leicester skyline heaved into view.